Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Hiking Adventures with Trevor. And today I'm going to do a quite important little video, and it is the 10 essential tips for the solo hiker, especially the senior hiker. Things you should do before you strap your backpack on and get out there and start hiking. Now also I'll mention right now, please stay tuned all the way to the end of the video, because I'm going to give you this extra tip that's very, very important. It could save your life, in fact. So stay to the end of the video. This video is not that long, so stay to the end and check out that extra little tip I'm going to give you. Anyway, let's start. Tip number 1, always tell someone where you're going on your hike. It seems like common sense, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't actually tell somebody that they're going or where they're going. So, you know, if you've got a partner, tell your partner, or even just tell a friend, somebody, where you're actually going. So where are you hiking? Also, the second part of that is, it's a good idea if you have a planned route, which you really should have if you're going out on a hike, especially by yourself. If you've got a planned route, if you can download that route and leave that with that person as well. So they not only know where you're going, but they also know the route you're going to take on that hike. And another good point about that as well is also leave that information as in when you are expected to return back from your hike. So, you know, if you're not back by that time, then they can start thinking about, well, is he late? What's going on? Is he hurt? There's something going on. So then they can put steps in action to hopefully find you safe and well. So that's tip number 1. Always tell someone where you're going. Tip number 2, check the weather carefully. Don't rely on just looking outside going, oh, it's a sunny blue sky, I'll be fine. I don't need to worry about the weather, and just get on your way. You know, check the Weather Bureau and the local, the weather report for the local area where you're hiking. I've made that mistake myself. I've checked the weather for where I live, and it says, oh, fine and clear, beautiful. And then I drive an hour and a half or 2 hours away to go to my hike, and I get on my hike, and an hour in it starts pouring down rain, because the weather forecast for the area I was hiking was totally different from the weather forecast for where I actually lived. So when you're actually out on the trail, especially if you're going up in mountains, because mountains sometimes the weather can change really, really quickly on you. So check for any temperature swings, you know, like what's happening here is it all of a sudden getting really cold, you know. Check for storm risk, you know, look around the horizon. Is there any chance of a storm? If you've got your weather report and it says it's clear, but all of a sudden you see these big dark clouds coming over, you know, 15 minutes into your hike. Well, hopefully you're prepared for that. And also, you know, strong winds. And if there are strong winds, then, you know, just make sure you keep an eye out for trees, like where you're walking. You know, limbs can fall off trees, so it can be quite dangerous to you. So anyway, but tip number 2, always check the weather carefully before you go. I've made myself a list so I don't forget anything. So I'm going to go through this list. Tip number 3, actually going back to check the weather, it's really important that you got the appropriate clothing for that too, because especially a senior hiker, if it gets cold all of a sudden, you know, us senior hikers are a little bit more sensitive to heat and cold. So it's really important to do the best you can to find out what the conditions are going to be. So, tip number 3, start early and avoid late finishes. That's not only to avoid a late finish, but starting early is often the cooler part of the day, especially like I live in Brisbane, Australia. Most of the hikes close to me, even in winter, can be quite hot. So, you know, last thing you want to do is go out there at, you know, 12 o'clock midday or 1 o'clock in the afternoon when the forecast is going to be for 34 degrees Celsius. You want to start as early as you can. So starting early gives you more daylight. So if for some reason you do get lost, or you find it's taking a bit longer than you thought it was going to, you're not going to find yourself, 2 hours from home and all of a sudden it gets dark. So keep that in mind. How long is this hike? And if it's like a 4-hour hike, if I start at 8 in the morning, that should mean I get back about 12. Well, if I started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then it might be 6 o'clock. And where I live, 6 o'clock sometimes it can be really, really dark. So just make sure you start early to give you enough time. Even if it is a 4-hour hike, it might take you 5 hours. You never know what can happen along the trail. So the earlier you start, really, it's going to be safer for you. You most likely will get back before it's dark. It also, it's a cooler time of the day if you start really early. And, it gives you time to take your time. It gives you time to take your time. So, you can dawdle along, and, if you come across a little section by a little creek or stream and it looks beautiful, just sit there and enjoy. Sit there and have a little snack and just enjoy the beauty of the place. So you're not having to worry about, oh, gee, I've got to get back before it gets dark. So start out as early as you can. That's really good advice for you. Tip number 4, carry more water than you think you need. Many times I've been out on a hike and I thought, oh, it's only really short. I only need a litre of water. And I get, 3/4 the way into the hike. It's been a bit hotter than I thought. And I'm guzzling down the water and I've got none left almost. So, I've got to really then ration my water so I can stay at least a little bit hydrated till I get back to my car or to the camp, wherever I'm going. So, yes, water does weigh a lot. But, if I think it's a 1 litre hike, I often will take 1.5 litres or even 2 litres. Well, in fact, even if I'm doing a really, really short hike, I always have a minimum of 2 litres in my pack. And if it's a longer hike, I often will take a water filter system with me just in case it gets hot for no reason and I drink too much water and I run out, then I can look for a water source to get water so I stay hydrated. Being dehydrated is really dangerous, especially as a senior hiker. 2 or 3 litres for a day hike is normally a good golden rule. As I said, I normally take 2 litres with me. In the middle of summer, I might take 3, or if I'm going on a hike and I know there's a water source, I'll take 2 litres and filter some water as I go along the trail. So I've always got a couple of litres handy. So, also, I've made a video before about water and staying hydrated. I'll put that video at the end. I'll put it at the end of this video, so a link to it so you can go and check that out. Really important, I always take with me electrolytes, and there's a really good reason for having electrolytes with your water. Check out that video and it'll tell you all about that. I won't do it here because I want to keep this video as short as I can, but as I said, I'll leave a link at the end of this video so you can go and check that out about water and electrolytes. Tip number 5, always use trekking poles, especially if you're a senior, but not only if you're a senior, young people should use trekking poles too. But as this video is really targeting the senior hiker, one of them, well, a couple of really good reasons why you would have trekking poles. Trekking poles really help with knees. So if you have got a little bit of discomfort in your knees or you suffer from a little bit of knee pain, as we get older we get these things, trekking poles really take a lot of pressure off your knees, so it really helps with knee pain. Also, trekking poles are incredibly good to keep you stable on the trail. If you're walking over a bumpy area, you can quite easily roll an ankle or fall and fall over. With the poles, they stop a lot of that from occurring. So, and another good thing about poles too, not only do they help pulling you up a mountain or up a hill on a trail, they're really good for coming down a trail as well. So once again, it helps to stabilize, but it also helps support the knees. So really important, take trekking poles with you. They really help prevent a lot of injuries. The amount of times I could have fallen over if I didn't have my poles has been, you'd be surprised how many times my hiking poles have saved me from an injury. Okay, so that's tip 5. Tip 6, wear proper sun protection. Now, that includes, I always wear a wide brim hat when I hike, one that also has a neck cover, so it protects my neck and also my face. I also often wear long sleeve shirts, even in summer, because this stops my arms getting sunburnt. And I often wear long pants as well. My shirts and pants that I wear, I often use hiking clothes. The material they use in those clothing, that clothing is often, it breathes really well. So even though I've got long sleeve shirt and long pants on in summer, I still stay cool because of the material I use for the fabric. So it's really important you get good coverage. Put some sunscreen on, sunglasses to protect your eyes. If it's a real bright day, not only will the sunglasses help protect your eyes from the glare, but you will actually see better. So especially as a senior hiker, it's, you want to see as much as you can. We already have problems, not being able to see well and trip over things. So having sunglasses is, it really helps you to see better, I found anyway. So that's tip, where did I go? We're up to tip number 6, that was. So tip number 7, and this is a really, really important one. Know your limits. I'm 69. I'm not going to pretend that I'm 21 when I'm hiking out in the mountains and think run up the hill or, hike 50 Ks today, because I can do it. Well, when you get a little bit older, you probably, even if you're fit, you may not be able to do that. So know your limits. The biggest mistake many hikers make, especially seniors, is they push themselves too hard. And that is very, very, it's not very good for you. I've also seen senior hikers, hiking at a fast pace to keep up with young people. You're not 20, especially in my case, I'm not 20, I'm 69. Go at your pace. If you've got young people with you and they want to go ahead, well, let them go ahead. Don't try and keep up with them. You're not 20 anymore. A couple of questions you really should ask yourself. Can I comfortably hike the distance that you've set yourself? Now, you might think, oh, I'm going to go and do this 50K hike, and you really haven't trained for it. Well, you'll probably get to about 10, 12, 15 Ks and feel totally trashed. And then, what are you going to do? Or you've walked 20 Ks in and you're trashed and you've got to walk 20 back, and you just don't have the energy to do that. So be comfortable and be confident that you can walk the distance that you've set yourself in the hike. And another thing too, if your hike has a big steep hill on the way back, be aware of that fact, because if say you went on a 20K hike and you're 10 Ks out, and on the way back, about 5 Ks back, you've got a massive big hill. Well, by the time you've got halfway back, you're probably already really tired, and that big hill is going to be really hard for you to do. And when you get tired and fatigued, you're more prone to falling over and injuring yourself. So just be aware, of the length of the hike and know your limits. It's so important. Okay, so tip number 8, carry a basic first aid kit. It's so important to do that. Basic kit, if it's a short walk, some Band-Aids, maybe a little bit of antiseptic cream. Take some, Panadol with you, some pain relief pills, just in case you fall over and hurt yourself, or you might just get a headache. Really important. Compression bandage for snake bite, as well as if you roll an ankle. And, you probably even take, a whistle or something as well to alert people if you fall over and you need to try and, get someone's attention. A whistle probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have that as well. Blister pack, even if it's a short walk, you can end up with blisters, and if you've got a blister, trying to walk back, 5 Ks or something with a blister, and you you got nothing to repair that blister with, it can be excruciating. So basic kit, you don't have to take a full medical kit. You got to carry it, remember, it's all weighty, but those essentials, you know, some bandages, a blister treatment kit, a basic snake bite kit, which is compression bandage, and maybe some Panadol and some antiseptic cream. That will normally see you through most hikes. Great. Tip number 9, bring navigational tools. So when you go out hiking, you know, I often will download on my phone, you know, an All Trails map. I download it, so in case I haven't got internet connection where I'm going, at least I can follow the map. If you can read maps, it's probably good to take a paper map with you and a compass. If you can read them, it's really important. Or at the very least, you know, if you've got a paper map that you bought at a hiking store of the trail you're going, just so you can at least follow along the trail. And if there's like a T-junction or Y junction and there's no signage, at least you'll know which way to go. So those things are very, very important. Don't rely on a mobile phone with a map on it that's not downloaded, because you might be hiking somewhere and all of a sudden lose your service on your phone, and then you've got no map. So at the very least, you know, apps like All Trails, you can get the map of where you want to go and download it, so you're not reliant on having internet or, you know, Wi-Fi connection or anything like that. So mobile service, it's in your phone. So something like that. Don't rely on having to be online or having mobile service the whole way to read your map. That's not a very good thing to do. Okay. Now, tip number 10. Pack an emergency layer. What I mean by that is, every time I go hiking, I often have layers on, even in summer. But if it's a little bit cool out where you're going to hike, it might actually drop, especially if you're going up into a mountain somewhere. You know, it might be 20 degrees or 20, yeah, it might be 20 degrees where you're walking, and then when you get up in the mountain, it goes down to 10 degrees. And the shirt you have on might not be enough to keep you warm. So I often take with me a very thin, like mid-layer jacket. It's what do they call it? It's called modern fleece. It's like an artificial fleece. It weighs nothing. It fits in my backpack. It's really light, but really, really warm. So I often will take an extra layer like that just in case it gets cold. But I often also, you know, dress with layers. If it starts out cold, you know, I'll have a couple of layers on. As it warms up, I can take a layer off. Don't just have one big, heavy, warm shirt on and then, you know, half an hour into the hike, you're boiling hot. So always have layers for that. It's really, really important. Weather can change really quickly on you. So that for that reason too, it's really good to have like I said, a lightweight jacket. My little Future fleece jacket is really good for that. I also, quite often too, I will have a head torch in my backpack, even if I'm hiking in the middle of the day. You never know, something may happen and you end up being stuck out there. And, you know, if it ends up getting dark, you need a light. So important to have that as well. Even if you only expect to do a short hike, you never know what can happen to you. So, those are 10 tips that I think you should follow, especially if you're a senior hiker. And like I said at the start of this video, stay to the end because I've got an extra tip there for you. And this tip is really, really important. It's a bonus tip. Always carry a PLB, a personal locator beacon. They are, even if you're going on a short hike, but if you're going by yourself, and especially if you're a senior, you never know. You might be super fit. You're, 2 hours into the hike and you have a heart attack. How are you going to get help? You might 2 hours into the hike and you roll your ankle and you can't walk anymore, and you're by yourself. What are you going to do? Well, with a personal locator beacon, you can set that off and help will come for you. Same if you get bit by a snake. You know, if you get bit by a snake, you can compression bandage it, do what you're supposed to do with your snake bite kit. But one of the worst things you can do is then get up and walk, because you don't want blood to pump through your body. So a personal locator beacon will help you in that case as well. You can compression bandage and then hit your PLB and help will come to you. So a lot of people think, especially seniors, they go, oh, I'm only going for a little couple of hour walk. Why would I need to have something like that? Well, you'd be surprised at how many people get themselves in trouble even on an hour-long walk. So, and especially if you're by yourself, if you do roll an ankle, twist something, or you can't walk, or you have some injury, fall down a bank, you can't get back up, that's when that personal locator beacon really comes in handy. Now, there are numerous ones out there in the available on the market. Some have subscriptions, some don't. I actually did a video on that. I will also link that video at the end of this video, so you can check out some of your options when it comes to PLBs. So anyway, I hope these 10 tips for solo senior hikers has been really helpful to you, and please let me know what you think of this video and my other videos. I'm always looking for more content to bring to you, so if you've got any ideas on a topic for a video, please let me know. That would be really good. On that note, people, thank you once again for watching. I really appreciate the people that watch my videos, and I really like reading the comments that some of you leave as well. So feel free to do so, and I look forward to seeing you out on the trail sometime. Take care of yourself, stay safe, be happy, enjoy your life, and get out there and amongst nature and live your life to the fullest. See ya, bye.